All right, Chelsea fans, welcome back to another episode. That's right, of the London is Blue podcast. I'm sorry, the World is Blue podcast.
How dare
hosted
you?
by.
How dare you? It's the world is blue. Come on,
I was
trademark.
going for a fun little I gotcha moment, and you're trying to trip me up in the very beginning. Dan, one of your hosts here alongside Nick, the gentleman you just heard, trying to absolutely destroy me before we even get into the segment of this podcast here. We're glad to have you back with us on our wonderful Chelsea podcast, a part of the Men in Blazers Media Network. We are going to have a little bit of fun summer mailbag here because Chelsea have been doing the absolute business in terms of getting players out at the moment after doing some wonderful work in the transfer window to secure targets early and identify a couple players that they're still looking to bring in. We do have a couple updates there or things that happened over the weekend that we want to kind of talk about first. And then it's all of your wonderful listener questions here. We had plenty on Chelsea related and non-Chelsea related topics. People asking us to put our not necks on the line, Nick, but they're definitely trying to ask us to commit early to where Chelsea are going to finish this season. They want to talk about the worst signing so far under the Clear Lake era of Chelsea Football Club. And then they do want to get us on the record for things like best fast food burger. So we've got the whole gamut covered in this episode today. And I do think we're having a lot of fun with it.
Absolutely. Very excited for this one. I love a mailbag.
All right. Well, look, let's just jump in right off the top then, because Chelsea trying to get some stuff done over the weekend, and they did get one big one done. One that I think is going to make people pretty happy in terms of the fact that what felt like a bad deal last summer when Joao Felix came back to Chelsea Football Club, and a lot of us were scratching our heads wondering, what exactly are we doing here, has now been course corrected. And now Arsenal fans are questioning how Chelsea has done it again. They want inquests, Nick. They want FIFA to get involved. They want UEFA to get involved. They think Chelsea could never do a deal to sell Joao Felix, but that is what they have done to Al-Nassr. He's going to Saudi Arabia. And according to Fabrizio Romano, he says that Chelsea's immediate fee is going to be 30 million euros with a heavy sell-on clause and add-ons. And Chelsea feel, this is his framing, that they have a guaranteed fee of 50 million minimum euros for Joao Felix. Thoughts, feelings, opinions?
Look, it's remarkable business if it means that you don't get Mendes in the future. I think that is the big caveat that I'd throw. We got Mendes a couple of times with Felix already. And I think Mendes, of course, if you know who I'm talking about, Jorge Mendes, the super agent out there, he's one of like 3 or 4 really powerful agents that control the stake and image rights and all these things for particular groups of players. Felix is just one on his client list. And so he has contacts in a lot of different places and thus can get 18 different moves for Joao Felix over the course of the last 3 years. But it's a move that had to be done for Chelsea. He obviously was not going to play for the club again in the way that, the team kind of evolved, and he went on loan to AC Milan. So it was a terrible transfer, and it has now kind of been remedied as long as there isn't another shoe that drops in the other direction for another player that we don't necessarily need. Then, all's well that ends well. But, I don't know how I feel about this one in particular, but I do know that we have sold more players to Arsenal for way higher fee structure than we have to Saudi Arabia at any level. So if the Arsenal fans want to comment on transfer fees, perhaps look at your own line items there, my guys. Nope.
They're saying, "Nah, dog, not again.
Not again."
Chelsea, childish Gabino had a statement after this one as a part of our Discord community. There's a couple questions that are filtered in here, but he said that Ari Aster, the director, has said he's got another version of Eddington, which is a movie that came out just recently, Joaquin Phoenix and Pedro Pascal. Is that movie called Chelsington, about a sheriff who is devastated Joao Felix is moving to Saudi versus a mayor who is thrilled we made a book profit on him? And that's potentially a very interesting modern day horror film. Could absolutely be the name of the movie. Another modern day horror film, though, is what's going to happen for Chelsea Football Club in terms of getting Raheem Sterling off the books. That is, I think, the second of the biggest deals that Chelsea are trying to get across the line this summer. You get Joao Felix done. I think that's one of two, and you're going to get a pretty high grade this window from me, at least, in terms of grading this as we think about the end of the window grades we're going to dish out. If you get him off the books, in addition to having just gotten Joao Felix off the books. Fulham, apparently, interested in both, actually, Raheem Sterling and Kieran Dewsbury-Hall from Chelsea this summer. A good friend of the pod, and Nisar Cancelo, reporting that over the weekend. It does feel as if, Raheem Sterling wanted to come back to London. He prioritized the transfer to Arsenal to stay in London. Going to Fulham would allow him to stay in London. I think anything over 20 million pounds, Nick, you take the deal and you run, because he's just not a player who's has any type of future at Chelsea at this point. You want to give him the opportunity to be successful elsewhere. I know we've seen interest from, Serie A clubs as well, but Serie A clubs usually tend to have the most interesting payment structures, brought to you by Klarna, in terms of the way that they finance deals. So that probably doesn't happen, but Dewsbury Hall to Fulham could be a very interesting move there.
Yeah, both of these have seemed to pick up. I mean, when I talked to Matt last week, Matt made mention that he thinks Sterling will be kind of a late in the window. A team maybe doesn't have the attacking firepower that they want, and Sterling is available. And I think the thing for Sterling is he is going to have to decrease his wage demands if he is to move to another non-big six club. Even if he were to go, at the very edges, like a Villa or a Newcastle, he'd have to decrease his wage demands from where he is. I mean, he's making a lot of money at Chelsea right now. And, this one is different. Sterling is different for me than Felix, because Sterling played a couple of years for us, was the first signing of the Clear Lake era at Chelsea that summer.
Yeah.
I remember we were on tour and we were like, whoa, like what a statement signing. And then he did the photo shoot in LA, and it was kind of a cool thing, and I don't have all terrible memories, so to say, with Sterling, but it is clear that this is now done as far as like time goes. And so I look at this, if I'm Raheem Sterling, if I can stay in London, play for a team who needs attacking firepower like Fulham, like West Ham, like any of these kind of admittedly second tier organizations, but I get to stay in London and I get to, do what I've been doing. And right now probably wouldn't have to move house if you were playing for Fulham versus Chelsea. That would kind of be a nice thing. Then I do it. I don't think the transfer fee is the problem. I think the wages are the problem. And, we saw Jadon Sancho not fit within Chelsea's wage structure, choose to go back to United and then go anywhere else. And now you're going to see what Raheem Sterling chooses to do with, admittedly, the last part of his, his really primarily career, I'd guess. So whether he ends up at Fulham or another Premier League club, or, he goes to Napoli on a flyer or something like that, I have no idea. But I don't feel the same way, if this makes sense. I don't feel the same way about him that I do about Joao Felix, or that I did about, any of the other signings that I could not have, the sales that I could not have cared less about. I think that Sterling actually tried for a large part of his time and may have not been super successful, but did score some big goals for us.
You also did have interviews during the time he was at the club where younger players who were coming up through Chelsea at the time with a very, very young team talking about the positive impact of Raheem Sterling on them as well. And so, if you think about impact off the pitch, some very good positive impact off the pitch, but you do need both from a player to be successful, reliable, and a true contributor within this organization. I think that we were missing just some of the calculation on a match-to-match basis from Raheem Sterling when he came. So, if he does leave to Fulham, or wherever he leaves to, I think it'll be very fond farewell and good hopes to him. And I think, Dewsbury Hall leaving would likely mean more minutes for someone like Andre Santos, who seems likely to stay at this point. At this, even though they're clubs who have inquired, apparently the price they've been quoted is extremely high, which good there in terms of valuing your players appropriately. When we talk about players, though, in terms of valuation, Chelsea are looking to be very close to getting the Joao Hato deal done. He was not on the bench for Ajax over their past preseason fixtures that they had. So it's a kind of positive signal in the Chelsea are negotiating with Ajax to get him to Chelsea. And then the other bit of news was just over the weekend, there was kind of conversation about the fact that the Xavi Simmons price remains 70 million euro all in from them. I imagine there's some way that we'll get across the line, but it does feel as if Chelsea want to get that deal done. I think people are calling this the double Dutch, Nick, in terms of trying to get these two guys into Chelsea.
I like the double Dutch. That's good.
It could be Dutch Bros if you want to go to a coffee kind of solution there too.
That's good.
They bring some energy and excitement to the organization. But those both look to be, things that, during this week you might get a CFC Central special if they do sign. So I think stay tuned on those two. The one that was probably the most interesting, I thought, was that, with all the Isak news.
Oh my God.
Over the past couple days, with the fact that Ekitike is, with Liverpool, and then Liverpool were in for Isak as well. And then, there's obviously been potential offers for Saudi Arabia as well, that Eddie Howe had basically said, like, you're not going to see Isak with the team, which was wild because that's where it's at. And so apparently Nico Jackson has been added to Newcastle's list of targets for who they would want to go after, along with Ollie Watkins. And I'm going to tell you, Nick, with the way that everything's been priced, the people who are saying that he's like 80 million plus in this market, totally correct. Totally correct. If not higher.
Yeah. I mean, look, I have been on the record. I think, I don't know if you're in the same spot as me. I don't want Nico Jackson to leave Chelsea. I think you have a really valuable player there. But in the market, Ekitike just going for 79 million euros, and he has no Premier League experience and had one standout season. I think if Chelsea were to do any business on Jackson that's under 80 million pounds, it's bad business. I mean, the market has already been set. This is not really even a Chelsea thing. This is the market price has been set for strikers. And if you're talking about like a bona fide, like could be best striker in the world in Isak going for somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 million pounds, which would be a British transfer record again to plucky old Liverpool. Then yeah, I mean, I think 80 million is maybe a little low, right? And kind of the framing of it all. So it's kind of an interesting one because, again, I don't want him to go. I really don't. I think if we have three legitimate striker options for potentially two kind of forward spots, that means enough rotation and some really interesting combinations and all this sort of stuff. But if an offer comes in at 85 million pounds and you paid 25 for him 2 years ago, I feel like it would be hard to pass up. But if it comes in at 65 and the market is what it is, then the answer is no. Like, sorry, like that just can't. I can't see that happening, even though it would be a tiny little profit.
It does feel as if we are continuing to really put forward good prices when we have valuable player assets. I mean, we have sold some, I think have gotten moved on some that maybe we just feel like we need to get gone. And I mean, sometimes that is actually the better thing, because when you think about it, it's not just the fee you paid up front. It is the continual wages that you're paying to a player. And some players on our books still have some pretty outsized wages relative to the current wage structure that Chelsea have adopted in the last few seasons. So I don't think Nico goes personally. If it happened, I also would not be surprised if it hit that 80 million plus mark that you're talking about there. But I do want to shift to the last one, Nick, just to round it out here, because people are just asking the question. They're just asking the question. Donnarumma apparently not happy with the contract talks with PSG. They've stalled.
Dramatic.
The people are just asking the question: if would you want to try to go make a move at bringing Donnarumma to Chelsea?
So I think there's a lot of like recency bias in this with the shenanigans after the Club World Cup.
I know you're a big Bob truther right there. You're coming on this podcast and you're like, how could you unseat Sanchez?
I always have been, and you know this. But if Donnarumma is available at anything like 30 million pounds, yes, you 100%
I think you're making
do
a
it.
call. I think at minimum you're making a call to see
100%.
what the offer would be, what the wages would be, because obviously PSG is very comfortable paying some wages that maybe Chelsea would not feel comfortable with. So you're asking the question. All I'm doing is asking questions.
I'm doing is asking questions. The Joe Rogan of our time, Dan Dormer. So he didn't come off of his like best season, by the way. Like Donnarumma has not had a particularly like phenomenal season. There are some people who are concerned about him, maybe because he's been playing since he was like 16 in the first team. Maybe he's like not having the same like total trajectory at whatever he is now, 24, 25. Than maybe like other players that would potentially, because goalkeepers age differently, right? So they really hit their peak at like 30, 32. Like you can really stretch out a career as a goalkeeper. Um, he's 26. Okay. So, I mean, he's like entering like prime territory and is like a world class Champions League winner as goalkeeper. So you make a call. If it's 50, the answer is no. But if it's 30, maybe.
Well, look, those are just a couple of quick hits on the transfer market over the past couple of days. Chelsea still has some business to get done in terms of getting those last two, we think, final signings across the line in this summer. Again, don't count out Chelsea if there's a good opportunity in the market, though, in any position is what it feels like at this point in time. But there's plenty of outgoings that are still going to be conducted between now and the start of the season. Again, preseason starts the 8th of August. It is a time of recording the 27th of July. Just a little bit longer. Don't have to wait too much longer until Chelsea get back on the pitch for some non-competitive preseason warm-up football. But look, we're going to take a very, very, very quick ad break. And when we do that, we're going to be back to talk about your Chelsea-centric questions in our mailbag portion of the show. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right, Nick, just right off the top, people want to know about failed signings because we just talked about signings that were coming into Chelsea, some players that were leaving. We had CFC Jonesy with the question, which signing under the new ownership group was the most surprising failure? Thought Koulibaly was nailed on. Koulibaly was a good one. I mean, I think people were pretty hyped for Koulibaly in terms of him coming in.
I mean, I know he didn't stay long, but was he a pure failure? I thought he was okay.
I mean, I think you have the obvious answer is what I'm going to say. I think you went obvious. I tried to go a little secondary cut on here, so I'll let you go with yours.
Yeah, I mean, so I think the two worst signings of the Clear Lake era are Mudryk and Felix. So you can,
even though you sold Felix for effectively what you paid, and like you got a loan fee, and then
this is why my answer is Mudryk, because look, I think there was such a like buzz around this play. Like if you like rewind your brain all the way to 2022, and it's, or I guess 2023, whenever the actual signing took place. He's just like, it was too big of a jump too fast to go from the Ukrainian league during a war to Chelsea. The Champions League highlights for Shakhtar looked so interesting and tasty at that time that you were like, man, what, we might have a real player on our hands. The first cameo against Liverpool was probably up there with his best moment in a Chelsea shirt. And then the rest of it's obviously gone the way that it's gone. It's clear that like tactical understanding isn't great. It's clear that like fit with other players isn't great. It's clear that he has to be the guy in a team to be at like his very, very best. And at Chelsea, that's just simply not going to be the case when you have Cole Palmer, Enzo Fernandez, Reece James, Moises Caicedo, all these other players. So I just like, the hype was clearly misplaced, and that is a bummer. And now, who knows? I mean, obviously, there's a very delicate legal situation going on with him. So, yeah, difficult.
So, I mean, I took the framing as the fact that like this was also about like the biggest surprise in terms of like the fact that they did flop. And so I actually went a different angle. If you had told me when we were signing him that he would only score a single league goal for Chelsea in bringing in Aubameyang, I actually think I would not have believed you. Like, I think that actually was probably the most surprising to me of all of the, I think, failed signings under the new ownership group. I mean, he only started 5 times on 15 appearances. He played 554 league minutes before Chelsea said, "You know what? We're good. We're good, and we're going to move on from this."
He also, I mean, contextually, and Matt said this before, had a very difficult family situation upon moving to Chelsea, stuff like that. There were other contributing factors, and he went on to score goals after in France. So, like, I think it was just like wrong fit, wrong time for him, and whatever. Mikhailo Mudryk in let's call it 2,300 total minutes for Chelsea has registered 5 goals and 4 assists total.
Yeah, I mean, Aubameyang had 3 goals, 1 assist, 4 goals and assist contribution in 11 starts, 21 matches played. Didn't even get above 1,000 minutes. Like, I just think that is nowhere near where I thought anybody, like, where he would be with any type of contribution. Maybe I was wrong, kind of
Sorry,
like projecting where I think it was going to be.
that was league from Mudryk.
Okay.
All time league. I think he has a handful more in the cups, but yeah, it's not much.
All right. Well, switching gears then, we had a question. Nick, you have a good opinion on this one here. Kendall was asking the question: who's the next academy player, if any, to graduate to the first team?
So, as you know, there
I do
are
know.
a lot of different ways to kind of go with this. You've seen a lot of academy players make their debut last year, which was awesome to see. Not only Ty and Josh, but a ton of players kind of making that list. The one that I know Ollie and I are most excited about, and I think also comes with the best chance to play at some point, is Genesis Antwi. And the reason I say that is, like, right sided can be more of a wing back if needed, can dribble, can shoot, is speed merchant, like really, really talented footballer coming through the academy. And I think you just look at, Shim's pathway forward with maybe 3 senior strikers ahead of him, the midfield being pretty solid, assuming that, Lavia can stay healthy. So maybe not. And then some of the other positions on the field, I would have thought, that Ishe would have been next. But apparently, there's like a sale in progress for him to Strasbourg with a buyback clause. There's some stuff that, like, Ishe would have been the most natural one. Keanu Dyer would have been the most natural one. Samrak Saiki would have been one of the most natural fits in there. But I think you just look at, like, pathway. I think Genesis has, like, a real shot. Shim's probably alone, and there's a lot of academy players who are kind of on the move right now. So it's difficult to, like, pick who's going to be in the academy, who's going to come through next year. But really, really excited for Genesis, and hopefully he does get a chance.
All right, one question we had from Oboogie NYC was just, if we sell Jackson, are we going to go in for Donnarumma? I don't think they're a connected item. I think
No.
if Chelsea were to sell Jackson, they would reinvest into,
Morgan
imagine,
Rogers.
another attacker. Actually, that is
It's gonna be
probably
Morgan
what would
Rogers.
happen. It'd
Yeah.
be Morgan Rogers, or maybe you go with the sexy option, you go with Rodrigo. Like that. That's, I think, where Chelsea would go. I think if they lose an attacker, they would look to bring in another attacker. Don't think they're connected. A better question. I'm not saying it was a bad question. That's the wrong way to frame it.
Yeah,
I said
wow.
a different question
Shit on that question. That's unbelievable.
from CFC Tahoe Blue. What is the front of kit sponsor you would choose on a Jordan kit, of course? This is a man of culture, or a person of culture, rather. And what type of collab would you like to see from the partnership? In and out with double doubles at the bridge, Range Rover with CFC crest. Nick, the world is your oyster. You have an opportunity to make a choice here. What are you going with?
Well, I'm partial to the brand Aston Martin as a car guy.
Really?
Turns out. So I think there's a lot you can do with Aston Martin. One, it's like 2, British icons coming together in a cool partnership, I think, which is really neat. Second, Chelsea could do like an Aston Martin green kit if they wanted to, which would be kind of a nice thing. If you follow the Formula One team, you kind of know it's that, like, darker shade of green, which is be a really nice away kit or something like that, a third kit. you could do like a Chelsea. You could set up like a in the future Chelsea sports and entertainment venue. You could set up like an Aston Martin test track around the stadium or something, which would kind of be cool. And maybe you could set up like a sim at the bridge for people to race each other, which would kind of be fun.
Ooh, okay.
Chelsea might make it into the next James Bond through this partnership, which would be interesting. So lots that
Oh,
you could
like a
do.
Stanford Bridge scene at like in the movie.
Be kind of cool. Be kind of cool. So, anywho, Aston Martin's great. I desperately want one someday, and they're a lot of money, so it's probably not going to happen. But at the same point, I would love to see Aston Martin on the front of the Chelsea shirt, and lots you could do with that.
That's a good one. Look, there was a point in time, I think it was like 2 seasons ago now, where we thought like there was like a 1 hour news cycle where we thought Chelsea with who were putting out with Nike these retro videos to promote the kit, that Nintendo might have been an option for the front of kit sponsor. And I'll tell you, it was one of my favorite like hours of trying to like plan on what that would look like on the front of the kit. It would be a great front of kits logo, like just
It's
to
a
be
great
fair.
logo. Yeah.
Phenomenal logo, look perfect on the shirt, look even better because they also have the golden seal that they introduced, like the seal of quality that Nintendo uses would actually like look really kind of close with the 4-year badge we get on the front of our shirts. It would kind of evoke the
Oh.
flavor of the way that they've graded the games before. So I think it'd be really good. I think you could do a whole lot. You know, you could do like a Stamford Bridge Mario Kart level. Like that would be really interesting around London.
Oh, cool.
I
Yeah.
think there's a lot there. There's a whole lot that you could unpack.
You could also do what Sony did back in the day with Atletico Madrid and have like the different games on the front too, which would
Yeah.
be super interesting with that one. Yeah. I mean, there's a whole bunch. Like, I'm not a Pokemon player, but you have like a whole bunch of like stuff you could do integration into games with. I don't know. I think there's a lot you could do. The collabs that CFC Tahoe Blue brought up would be In and Out with double doubles at the bridge. Sounds great. Sounds awesome. And then Range Rover with Chelsea crests on it. Also
Yeah.
pretty cool. Also
They are
pretty
good
cool.
ideas. Yeah. Look, people want to get us on the record early, Nick, which, you know, always works out favorably well for us. And Leojic was asking, what position do Chelsea finish this season? How far do we go in the Cups and Champions League as well? And then you had M. Dempsey with just the trophy. You think we had the best shot to win this season? Look, I'm gonna just go out here and tell it right off the top and rip it, because you know what?
You're
Some
not
people aren't
waiting
gonna
to
listen to this episode.
you're not doing the season preview. You're not waiting.
Look,
You're,
not everybody listens to every episode, so
You're
it'll
tipping your
just
hand?
be rehashed. I'm just saying, I gotta ask the question. I'm gonna put it out there. We're gonna finish third next season. That's just what's gonna happen. There are a lot of competitions. We're back in the Champions League. You can't do a B squad for every game. Chelsea are gonna finish third. However, we are gonna get to the semifinals of both domestic cups. I don't know if we'll win one of them, but we're gonna go deep in them, and Chelsea win the Champions League, because we are set up to win in that type of competition format. And it's just going to be amazing to have won the Champions League again on the back of having won the FIFA Club World Cup. So not only will we have been and will continue to be the best team in the world for another 3 years after that, but we will have won the honor of being the best team in Europe for the forthcoming season.
Oh, wow. Oh man. That was
It's
a lot
not even
to-
why not us. It is us heading into the 25-26 season.
Whoa. Okay. Look, Leojic, you're gonna have to wait to the season preview, because if we do it now, then we might as well not do the season preview. But I will say that the trophy M. Dempsey that we have the best shot to win this year is going to be the FA Cup. And the reason
you
that
think
I
the
say
Champions
this,
League is an easier cup for us to win?
no, well, no.
Okay.
The FA Cup, I feel like if Palace can win it last year, so can we this year. So I'm just I would love to win an FA Cup again. I really, really would. I think it would be a big trophy for this team off the back of 2 trophies, lift the most historic trophy in England. That would be a pretty cool thing. And, we'll see how it goes.
All right. Well, Mr. Thurman had a question. He was just asking, are we officially pretending Joao Pedro has scored more than 5 non-penalty goals in a season? Because that is what he scored for Brighton this past season. He's not actually scored, like he's scored more in the championship in terms of having more non-penalty goals. Here's my view on this one, Nick. If you're saying that the Club World Cup is real, which all of us are, the most true trophy.
Yeah,
it's like the one true ring. Like it is absolutely a true trophy. You have to then say, yes, he did surpass that, because we are going to say that all competitions now, that brings him up to 8 goals for all comps. You're gonna give it to him. So sorry, Mr. Thurman. I know you want to rain on Joao Pedro's parade, but I'm not letting you do it.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, just Mr. Thurman, how dare you be negative on a show like this? I could never be branded with such a broad brush personally, but yeah, no, I think he has to grow too, and he will. And I think what we saw early doors is a good indication that he's going to be in a setup that he can thrive in and have better players around him to provide him the ball to put in the back of the net. So let's hope that instead of 5, that it's 10 or 15. Ooh.
Would be nice. We also had a question from M. Dempsey again, just asking, of our known fixtures at the moment, which home game and which away game would you want to most go to? Do you have an answer there, Nick?
Home game, I would definitely want to go to Chelsea Liverpool again. We went to Chelsea Liverpool in 2019 and it was rocking. And unfortunately, we didn't win that one, but it was a great game. And so I'd want to go see us beat Liverpool at home. And then I want to go to Newcastle away. I've heard special things about Newcastle as a city. And I'd love to go to St. James Park and see Chelsea not do silly red cards and win against Newcastle. I think that'd be fun.
And away? Away was Newcastle?
Away's Newcastle.
Okay. So home for me is I would like to go to Chelsea versus Arsenal. I've done that fixture once before. It was a Chelsea 2-0 win. It was fantastic afternoon out. I think we're going to smash them both times this season. I actually think we're going to pick up all 6 points against Arsenal. It is going to feel so effing good. And I cannot wait for Chelsea to beat Arsenal at home again. We have not beaten Chelsea in the league at home.
Not beaten Arsenal at home.
Sorry, Chelsea has not beaten Arsenal, rather.
Yes.
August 18th, 2018. It was the 3-2 win.
Ugh.
It has been a minute.
Jesus, really?
I mean, our last win was August 22nd, 2021. It was the 2-0 win away.
God,
it has been losses mostly and draws since then. So in my mind, I would love to go see us return normal service against Arsenal. And to me, the away match you want to go to this season, it's clearly at Budapest for the Champions League final in 2026. So just lock that one in there and call it a day. Look, and Shane rounds us out with the Chelsea questions, Nick, here. It's a comparison question. I like these type, don't you?
Mm-hmm. I do.
Thiago Silva, was he the better defender? Or was there another better defender at Chelsea Football Club?
He's gave Carvalho or Silva a better Chelsea player. What's interesting is it's like kind of a similar sample size. So it's actually a pretty cool comparison. I don't have stats in front of me, but I think my analysis is that
Carvalho 210 appearances for Carvalho, 2004 through 2010. 135 in the Premier League, 75 in the Champions League and Cups, 9 major trophies with 3 Premier League titles. Thiago Silva was 2020 and 2024. 155 appearances, 113 in the Premier League, 42 in the Champions League and Cups. With he had 8 goals, Carvalho had 11, and then he had 3 major trophies, including the Champions League.
I think Carvalho was on the better team.
Mm-hmm.
Even though that Chelsea team that won the Champions League was great, Carvalho didn't win the Champions League at Chelsea. I think Silva was the better player individually at Chelsea. He had to do a lot more. They're both legends, And so I don't love making that call, but I think their name would be sung out if they were to enter Stamford Bridge again in either direction. So really can't go wrong. Can you imagine a back line of both of them together? Good Lord. That'd be
I think
special.
Carvalho gets underrated because he played next to John Terry as well in this moment.
He
And
was a part of the
so,
best defense ever in the Premier League. I
yeah,
mean, he holds that. So, I think that's
look, I love Thiago Silva. I love the way he played during that Champions League campaign. I think it's Carvalho, though. I think it does edge it pretty decently between the two. Like, I just think there was a longer period of time in terms of years at Chelsea, more trophies under that period of time as well, multiple league titles. I mean, as part of that, obviously the Mourinho kind of first run as well, like super, super fun times watching him. So I think, it's probably not as close in my mind, but I do think you're talking about like two great defenders who play for Chelsea Football Club. It's a fun thought exercise question. So I'm sure people in the comments will have opinions, particularly on YouTube and Spotify, where people can leave them there. But look, we're going to take an ad break when we get back. It's rounding it out with those non-Chelsea specific questions. So if you don't care about those, that's the time you end the podcast now. But look, we have the answer about the Matt Law tweet we're going to follow up with here. So just FYI, if you're thinking you want to stop listening, don't do that. Bad idea. Stay tuned. Be right back. All right, Nick. So coming out of the break, we did promise it here. Matt Law, good friend of the pod, had a tweet that made people ask a lot of questions. It was just the word boobs.
broke the internet.
Anyway, Tyson wanted to know a little bit about what are the takes on the tweet. And then if there's a special Matt Law pod needed to discuss it.
Well, look,
there will not be a special Matt Law pod. I'm sure on the next time you have Matt on, you'll talk about it in specific to get the official on the record element here. But this is the player's nickname. Like, that's all it was.
It's Boubacar Kamara, who signed an extension at Villa. His nickname apparently is Boobs, which is a great nickname in any context. Weird to see it just as a single non-contextual tweet, which I think, don't worry, I'm gonna give Matt some shit about. But I think the broader context, as he linked in the threaded tweet below, the Boobs tweet was around Boubacar Kamara signing for Villa. So probably the end of the mystery cycle there. We can hop out of the mystery machine and figure out other stuff. But really lit the internet on fire there. I did text him on the side and was like, hey, did you get hacked? What happened? And then he was like, no, Boubacar Kamara signed a new contract. I was like, well, that's not how Joe Public is reacting to that tweet. He said, excellent. So he was pretty nonplussed about the whole situation. Not to put our business out there, but yeah, funny.
Oh, Matt's entitled to make some fun jokes there with all the great work that he does for all of us in terms of keeping us up to date on what's going on in Chelsea Football Club. Kaylin asked the question, if you lot weren't Chelsea fans or podcasters, what would your outside of work hobby or hyper fixations be? It's a good question, Nick. I think it's a really good question. You got a couple there?
I do. I love traveling, so travel for sure.
Good call.
I want to pick up photography. That's going to be like a later in life thing, I think, for me, is to really pick up photography and really kind of master that. So I do those two things. And then sadly, Nebraska football is always going to be a part of my life. And so Nebraska football would be there to take up more of my time than it currently does. You?
Look, I love basically all forms of media. So whether it's movies, as people who watch on YouTube see plenty of movie posters behind me on the daily, that's part of it there. I love watching film and critiquing film, so that would probably be a part of it. Or having more time to watch movies, because when you're doing 150 to 200 podcast episodes a year, you lose a little bit of time that you could be watching movies there. Movies, anime, books, comics, anything media related. Like, I just love stories, and I probably should do more writing is what I should be doing with my time. That's probably the like, hey, when I have more time, I would like to do this. But yeah, any type of media is a good call. Millhouse has the question, best barbecue sauce. I don't have a choice here. I have no dog in the fight other than it should be a spicy sauce. That's just my preference there. So I'm going to let Nick tell me if I'm going out to buy a spicy barbecue sauce after this episode based on his recommendation. as someone who lives in Kansas City, where he would say is the best barbecue in the United States of America, what would it be, Nick? What am I buying?
Yes, as Ted Lasso said, this is, when he was sharing his barbecue sauce with the boss. This is some of the best barbecue sauce in Kansas City, which means it's some of the best barbecue sauce in the world. My favorite barbecue sauce is a spicy barbecue sauce. It is called Cowtown Night of the Living Barbecue. It's spicy. It's a little sweet. It has a good balance to it. It's great on barbecue. It's great with chicken nuggets. It's great on a burger. It's just great. It's not so overpowering that's going to like make your eyes water or anything, but there's a good amount of kick in there to get you on your way. So, Cowtown Night of the Living Barbecue, final answer.
Hey, look, you got the answer there. Question from Shane, actually two of them here. Are food cities a real thing? And then are billionaires redeemable? So just really very big spectrums here in terms
Wow.
of the swings of questions that we're
Shane.
getting. I mean, billionaires can certainly try to be redeemable. My answer usually on the top is no. So with no other context or explanation there. And I do think, I don't know if I would necessarily call them like, I don't think they have to be called a food city. I just think that there are cities that excel at food and they are diverse areas. They are beautiful. They give places and people an opportunity to express themselves in really unique and wonderful ways. And the benefit of all of that diversity is a level of cuisine that is very, very hard to replicate. So, I mean, it's the reason why, I love living in New York City is because there's just so much and so many different types of expressions of food in, a subway car ride away from me in this area. So, yeah, I do think the concept of food cities is really more about the diversity that exists there.
I totally agree. And they are 100% a thing. I mean, with the way that the country has developed, there are just certain pockets of different flavors, recipes, immigrants that bring different flavors to our cities. It's just what happens. There are cities that have specialties with things. Like I absolutely. I was just in Boston a couple weeks ago. Had myself a nice little crab roll, which was excellent. I was in New York a lot with Dan this summer. We had a lot of very good food, ranging all over the spectrum. Go down to New Orleans, like we were down there for Blues Day. Go get yourself some Cajun food. There are just places that specialize in certain things, and it's my favorite part about traveling is just going to the kind of the off the beaten path stuff. So 100%. Billionaires could be redeemable. They have all the resources to be redeemable. They can choose to be if they would like to be.
All right. Siddharth asking the question, how crazy do you think it is that on the world stage, America is better than at cricket than soccer? So I think the interesting thing here, Nick, is if you look at the global world rankings for the United States in both sports, the US right now, world soccer on the FIFA rankings, 15th overall. I would disagree with that pretty aggressively.
Yep.
And I would feel very comfortable doing so. The US currently is 14th in the international cricket rankings. So if we're just going by the ranking chart, it is correct, the statement that has been shared with us.
Now, contextually, for those playing along at home, uh, Chelsea. So not Chelsea. So did it again. Contextually, in the points rating that we have up on the screen here, India are full 3,000 points better than us in cricket. So
Look, it's
these
not about the
rankings-
distance of points, Nick. It's about where you are on the table. And right now, we're not in the relegation zone when it comes to international cricket. That's for sure.
Not quite. Could be. But I would say, yeah, I agree with your analysis, especially lately. The U.S. men's national team is nowhere. They're probably 35th or worse, frankly, right now in the FIFA rankings. They're rated 15th. I have no idea how. They're apparently Uruguay are behind us in the world rankings, even though they slapped us last summer in Copa America. It makes no sense. So, yeah, go U.S. cricket. Go on. Whatever the chant is, I'm sure we'll learn.
Shane and Stutz had a couple of questions, rapid fire. One is fast food chain with best burger, fast food chain with best fries. Does sushi exist, or good sushi rather, exist in landlocked regions? And then is Raising Cane's mid? And look, I think I'm gonna need a definition from you here, because you put a burger chain in here that I don't necessarily consider fast food personally. I think I consider it as part of that fast casual range where the
Whoa.
price pushes it into a point where I don't think you could call it fast food. But maybe that's just my opinion.
Okay, so I put Five Guys as the best fast food burger, but if I weren't going to choose Five Guys, I would have chose Shake Shack. So whichever one
Okay.
of those fits your fast food vibes,
Okay.
then that is fine.
All right.
Uh,
So let's just do them back
Yep.
to back. So I went with In-N-Out because I would say that actually is like counts as fast food because it like has a drive-through based experience.
Fair. Okay.
But if we are going to fast casual, I think Shake Shack does have my favorite burger. I love a potato roll. I think the they do a couple of things occasionally that are fun as well. Fries, I went with McDonald's because I don't think there are better like standard fry kind of format. They have scienced the shit out of those fries. If you've read any of the books about like the making of McDonald's and like how they have like put together the science behind it, they know their fries. Their fries are the best. Now, the issue is the preparation. The variable on preparation can turn what should be the best fry in the world to something that doesn't even have enough salt or hasn't been cooked long enough to be good. But you have a different take here. You took a twist.
As I normally do.
Yeah.
The best fast food fry is Sonic Tots. That is my final answer.
Great. You rejected it completely. What about your
Yep.
sushi take here?
So good. You have to define good sushi. Are you, Shane, a like sushi fanatic who gets fresh from the coast seafood? Then perhaps my answer is not going to be satisfactory. We have a hand roll place in Kansas City called Katanori, which is really, really solid. I would give it like on the coastal sushi rating system, it's probably like a 6. But for Kansas City, it's like an 8.5, 9. So just on the, I think you have to compare the rating systems, but they're all hand rolls. They're all done right in front of you. It's decent quality. As good as quality can be flying fish across the country, right? There's just some things that are unavoidable about it. So
yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is just where's your supply chain look like? I mean, if you're having to fly it in from certain regions, like that, it's going to change a little bit there. Obviously, the best thing that you could get is fresh in terms of preparation, execution. But, there also is a lot of like fish farming that happens nowadays, and that can happen in a lot of anywhere areas of the world. So, I mean, it could be fresher than you think in that regard. And I think we are both equivocally yes that Raising Cane's is absolutely mid. Not a bad thing in a pinch, but it is mid.
yeah, it's nowhere near some of the others. And like when I was in college, I thought it was like the absolute shit. I thought it was great. They also have good fries as well. But as the chicken goes, the chicken game has moved on from Raising Cane's, unfortunately.
Is there a better chicken that you would recommend right now?
Oh,
Like if somebody's like, hey, like I'm
Popeyes.
nationwide. Okay,
Yeah,
Popeyes
Popeyes for sure.
Zach Ress asked the question: whose house apartment is the hottest temp when you're recording, outdoor and indoor? Well, I don't think any of us ever record. I guess like outside temperatures have gotten pretty hot near you.
Yeah, you're not.
None of us are recording.
You're not
outside.
beating me on outdoor temps right now. It is like steamy in Kansas City. It's like 107, 108 heat index.
I'm not mean you. I'm not beating you.
Yeah.
I'm almost 72. Con Ed be damned. That bill is just always going to be high, and that's just a part of life during the summer.
Yeah, I'm usually 71 to 73, but I have like cement floors, and so my place stays cooler for longer once it gets down.
All right, last question we had here before we get out of here. 11 Aspies with the if there was one niche European sport y'all have seen but never dove into, what would it be? And their comment was opening the soccer bar early for the Gaelic football final was the inspiration for the question.
Ooh,
Nick, this is a good question. I think we watched when you were visiting for the summer before we had a chance to watch Chelsea become the champions of the world. Really, really great weekend for us and for Chelsea. We did watch a segment of the Tour de France, And I've never watched like competitive cycling in any capacity. I will say I was super engaged for that like hour and a half that we were watching it. It was way more interesting than I thought it was going to be, and I could see myself watching a little bit more. I don't know if I would go to like a part of the race to watch, because as we saw, it's kind of over in like a second and a half.
Yeah, they just
So yeah, it's not like going to an F1 race where you'd be like, oh, they are going to be gone in like a quarter of a second, but I'm going to see them come around 50 times. Like there's no repeat of the track.
Yeah, I also thought the way they did the commentary during the Tour de France was awesome. Like they had
Yeah.
the guys in like the motorbikes, like in the middle of the pack. They were doing like interviews and stuff. That it was
The
like,
drones were coming in behind them
yeah,
too. Like it was like, I feel like the tech has probably improved pretty significantly in how they can record it. I'd be actually very curious, like look back 20 years ago, like what was the Tour de France like filming situation look like? Because this was pretty, I think, progressive. Other than the guy who was doing the front face video from his car in the absolute darkness of the sun. Really, really unfortunate. But you have a couple here. Give us yours.
yeah. So I would do rugby union. I am like fascinated with rugby. I think it's like one of the few gentlemen sports left where like fierce competition doesn't equate diving and pushing and shoving and all that sort of stuff all the time. It's tough. There's some of that. But there's also like a huge amount of respect for your opposition and the referee. I think that we need more of that in this world, and I appreciate that. Also, like their Australian cousins spinoff is Aussie Rules Football, which is nuts. I've watched it. I have no idea what it is, but it's a hell of a lot of fun to watch. I want to know what the European equivalent to slam ball is, that like basketball on trampolines sport that we invented in the US. Any of those would be great, but I'll go rugby union just to answer the question properly. And I do, to close this one, Dan, just want to give a massive shout out to the English women who won the Euros today. It was a crazy game, extra time, penalties. Hannah Hampton makes 2 saves. Chelsea's Hannah Hampton, probably becoming best goalkeeper in the world. Hannah Hampton makes 2 penalty saves, gets her opposition to push a third one wide. England win back-to-back Euros from 2022 to 2025. Big deal for them. Lucy Bronze played on a broken tibia for the entire tournament. Lauren James went out early with an injury. Niamh Charles crushes a huge penalty. There's Chelsea DNA throughout this entire English women's team. And yeah, just huge shout out to them for beating Spain, and long may it happen.
Look, not the best penalties we've ever seen taken in a game.
Surely not.
Yeah, I think we want to just maybe call that one out too. Yeah, huge credit to the England team for their historic Euro win. We've got more podcasts though coming out this week. You got another Matt pod coming out. We do have a little bit of just another general update. Will drop on the Friday, but look, don't be surprised if we have a transfer special episode that drops this week too. It feels like the kind of week that Chelsea's are going to try to get some stuff done, mainly because, Nick, I mean, the following week, the preseason matches start. So, I mean, Chelsea players are going to be back at Cobham very, very soon, finishing up their time away, finishing up all the great traveling around the world they've been doing now to be with friends, be with family, and to celebrate being champions of the world as they should. But that week of August 3rd is next week, which means we are less than 2 full weeks away from watching our beloved Chelsea men's team play again. And we are now the full 3 weeks
We're
at
3
time
weeks
of recording.
away. Yes.
We are 3 weeks away from Chelsea's opening Premier League fixture against Crystal Palace. We effectively, when we're recording now, not the Monday you're listening, but on the Sunday we're recording, this will basically be the same time we're recording that match review, talking about Chelsea's first win of the Premier League season. We hope, fingers crossed. But that's going to do it for this episode. So we hope you enjoy the rest of the content coming out this week. Don't forget to like and subscribe, comment on the videos on YouTube, subscribe for our free weekly newsletter, London's Blue Dispatch. Get involved in our Discord community in their free or paid capacity. Don't forget to leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It helps people find the show, and it's always appreciated. But that's going to do it for this episode. So until next time, Chelsea fans, you know what to do. Keep the blue flag flying high.